It seems like every week now we are being served a new hot internet discourse that adds fuel to the fire of ongoing gender wars. We are barely past the bear drama, the whole would you rather be stuck in the woods with a bear or a man thing, which some men took hilariously personally, by the way. Does someone wanna mansplain to me why car windows have these lines? Ask the bear. This is so funny to me. Every conversation with a man should go like this. Honey, do you know where the sponge is? I don't know. Go ask the bear. I just love men being petty. It suits them. But today I wanted to talk about something else that has been trending on social media recently, so-called passport bros. The passport bros are men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries, for relationships. They believe that Western women have been influenced by cultural and societal pressures to behave in a certain way, and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship. This is seen as a way to restore the natural balance between masculine and feminine energy and to avoid the wickedness of Western women. As you can see, the whole thing perfectly fits into the modern gender war narrative and obviously stirred some controversy, which wannabe passport bros blame on Western feminists who are just angry and jealous, seeing their finest specimen escaping the country so they don't have to deal with their insane standards and expectations. Well, I am not a Western feminist, although these guys would probably say I am westernized, which is patronizing in both sexist and xenophobic ways. So I thought maybe I should comment on this. My whole life I've been hearing about Polish women being this or that. Even recently in the comments someone felt the need to say something about my looks and how I should be thankful for my Slavic genes. Yeah, my genes. Definitely. So I've started digging into the topic, but all the YouTube videos and TikToks from passport bros seemed so insincere. Like I could immediately recognize them as either rage bait or some kind of grind aimed at conservative viewers. I wanted to find something that would at least resemble someone's actual lived experience, and so I turned to Reddit. And I know it's full of fakes, but it's also where people still go to seek advice or to complain, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. Part 1. Motivation. So what drives these men to leave their beautiful but tragically woke countries and seek women abroad? We answered that partially while explaining the definition of a passport bro, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth. I don't want to become a passport bro, but I feel as if I have no other choice. Most girls in my country are taller than me. The last 8 girls I met were taller than me. They hate my skin color. All they talk about is liking tanned guys. Meanwhile, I'm very white. So, go tan? They seem to be a lot more likely to be obese. The average age in my country is 45. I'm 22. Young girls are very few and rare. But I don't want to have to move country to get the dating life I want. What strikes me immediately is that he's talking about women as if they're some kind of commodity that should be provided for you in the appropriate quantity and the right quality. He deserves the dating life he wants, but he doesn't see it as something he co-creates. In his mind, it's a passive act of selection. It's like he's complaining about restaurant menu choices. Passport Bros advocates will tell you that it's all about finding love with a woman who shares the same values and is loyal and respectful. But in too many of these posts, the only thing they actually seek is a set of physical characteristics. It's sometimes hilarious how shallow can they get while talking about their potential life partners. The trend I started seeing in the past 5 years is that women are starting to act more masculine and less feminine. Yesterday, I saw a woman walking in a tuxedo, giving snarky looks to men, acting like she's better than everyone. That's why traditional Japanese women that actually act feminine are a lot better in my opinion. So anyways, can you all recommend any other Asian countries with hot trad women I can marry? Looking for long term. This man saw a woman in a tuxedo once, and he immediately went for a meltdown and decided to leave the country to never see such an atrocity again. And he chose Japan as an example, which is another level of hilarious. To marry a peasant girl in a third world country. Oh boy, we're off to a great start. Hello everyone, I'm a man in my late 20s, totally burned out from living in a first world country all my life. I should probably mention that I'm a virgin and a hikikomori as well. My desired lifestyle is not acceptable for most women in first world countries. Ideally, I want to find a peasant girl who will want to live with me in a rural area and grow vegetables, raise chickens just for ourselves, but maybe selling surplus at the market. Someone who is content with living detached from the world. Someone who does not need to go out and have fun, get some drinks, basically the opposite of a hedonist, rather being more practical minded. Someone for whom my ideal lifestyle would be acceptable. And most importantly, someone who is psychologically compatible with me and not westernized or modernized by any means. I love the idea that having fun and drinking is somehow a Western and modern thing to do. Like, all these girls living in rural areas of impoverished countries would never want to do that. A quick reminder, young people all over the world love to have fun, dance, go out and drink. I'm sure there are some that don't, like the OP here, but the only reason he wants to go to a third world country is because he thinks girls there are not allowed to do those things and will be therefore forced to live out his simple life fantasy with him. I have studied global cultures a lot, especially Asian ones. Yeah, I figured it out when you called yourself a hikikomori. It is my interest in agrarian or tribal societies from the perspective of cultural anthropology. Oh my god, the last person I would ever want to marry is someone who would treat me and my family as some specimen in his anthropology study. I don't know, but I have never been able to fit in with the first world countries, so I'm used to feeling like an outcast. I have never felt accepted or understood there. Perhaps I can find my place in a totally opposite society. I don't know, maybe I will be able to fit in with a society where the people are simpler, not so attached to materialism, not so superficial, not having to play mind games or political correctness or ulterior motives when dealing with them. I wonder if such a place exists on this planet at all. I just hate this noble savage trope that seems to be engraved into their minds, that makes them think that people living in rural areas of other countries are somehow less complex, but also wise in that special, magical way that only people simpler than you can be. Ideally, I should be able to find a wife, a companion there. If I would be accepted by her family or tribe, that would be wonderful, as I have not had a family or tribe before. So my one advice to this young man would be, if you want to build a special connection with a girl, please don't call her a peasant, or any member of her family, her tribe. Part 2. Expectations. Question. I've been hearing that women overseas in major cities are being influenced by Western culture and social media. Men are saying you need to go to the rural areas where there is not internet or social media. Is this a good idea? And if so, should I take a tour guide with me or someone that knows the area? Don't want to be mugged in a place I don't know. Which rural areas? Of which countries? He wants to go overseas, but which seas? Does he think the whole world outside of United States is the same dangerous, crime-ridden shithole? This worldview bothers me so much because what do you mean? It's also so funny that he still wants to go to these violent places that he made up in his head just to escape Western culture and social media. It's so weird that these people are willing to move to the other side of the world while they clearly haven't set foot outside of their apartments in a while. Any girl from another country wants to come to America. They will kiss your ass, make you think they love you. Don't fall for it. I know a couple of people that got their mates overseas. Soon as they get here and settle in, they're looking for a way out. Save your time and money. Just have fun there and come back alone. Any girl from any other country. I can't believe some men actually think that. What type of insane state propaganda do you need to gabble on to believe people from all over the world would kiss your crusty ass to move to America? I would rather not have a heat stroke trying to traverse through an unwalkable food desert to a nearest McDonald's so a child working there could call an Uber to get me to hospital and eventually die in the traffic because the local government was convinced the roundabouts cause tornadoes. I am a Christian and wondering whether Poland has Christian culture. I have heard about Polish girls are well-cultured and godly women. Is that true? Wondering whether Poland has Christian culture is again so funny. Reminds me of American missionaries going to the Ukraine border to teach refugees about Jesus. Like, who do you think told you about Jesus in the first place? As whether or not Polish women are godly, some are. If you want to find religious women, go look in your local place of worship. No need to move to a whole new country. The next post reminded me, though, that in the United States, Catholics are not exactly considered to be Christians, and it led me to this hilarious Catholics versus Protestants drama that I did not expect on that subreddit. Where should I go to find a trad wife, and how long should I stay there? Hi there, this is my first time posting here, and I'm looking for advice. I'm 30 years old, 6'4", tall, handsome, Caucasian, on 3 properties that are paid off 90%, 2 of which are in Hawaii, which is where I live. I'm Christian and my faith is incredibly important to me. I'm not looking for hookups. I don't find casual sex fulfilling. I'm looking for a traditional, feminine, submissive, beautiful Christian woman. I am very attracted to Latina women, so I'm curious about where should I go in South America. I am also very attracted to Asian women. If you are going to suggest a country, please also suggest a city or area within that country. I have been dating in the US for over 2 years since my divorce. It is not challenging for me to find women here who are interested in casual sex, but it's not what I'm interested in. I want to be with a beautiful Christian woman who genuinely has traditional values. I should also mention that connecting over conversation is very important to me, so I want to go somewhere where the women speak English very fluently. I suggest Philippines, mainly because if religion is important to you, they are very religious over there, except Catholic, not Christian. Sorry bro, worship of Mary, saints or angels, using priests as intermediaries are not what Jesus taught. Don't care about history, but do go off. Isn't it somehow comforting how in only a couple hundred years one of the most bloody conflicts in human history fizzled out to a thread on a Passport Bros subreddit? Divorced, but you want a traditional wife? You're 30 with a significant history. You'll clearly take what you can get. Stay in the US and find yourself some church wife over there instead. Are you jealous that I'm 6'4"? You seem jealous. Are you 5'7"? I'm 6'1", and when did I mention your height at all? If your height helped you get women, you wouldn't be on here crying about wanting a traditional wife, lol. Oh no, they started bickering about their height immediately, like a couple of preschoolers at the playground. These men are not mature enough to date anyone. No wonder they're desperate. Part 3. Reality check. And finally, my favorite type of posts is when they actually go to another country and the realization hits. Am I crazy or are things in Europe just as bad as in the US? Well. My job has had me traveling all over Europe the past 2 years. I've been all over Western and Eastern Europe and Scandinavia. I feel like people on here say dating and women in Europe are much better than in the US, but my experience has been eerily similar between the two. Did he go to Scandinavia thinking women would be more traditional than in the US? Bro, we did not send all of the Europe's most puritanical freaks to the new land just for you to come back here and think that the US is somehow the most liberal out there. I've met so many girls in Eastern Europe who make it seem like they're traditional, sophisticated, or whatever, and then go get blackout drunk at a club and hook up with some random stranger. High body counts, transactional gold digging, absurd standards in men sometimes, all things I've found dating in Europe same as in the US. I cannot comprehend the thought process for him to search a traditional wife and then complain about women being transactional. I know what you mean by traditional. You want her only job to be taking care of your house and your children, while you provide for them. It's obvious she needs to know first, how much are you going to provide? You cannot expect her to be fully dependent on you, but then also don't expect anything from you. I married a Turkish woman after meeting her for 2 weeks via her sister, my coworker. We got married 6 months later after her visa to come to the US was processed. We had a great life together, but it was a mistake to bring her to the US as she made friends with American women who filled her head full of American ideas that just ruined our relationship and made her incredibly entitled and arrogant. The car my parents gave her was too old. Her ring was too cheap. Doing anything became more about getting photos for Facebook or Instagram. It was just total shit after she got on American social media. The first year, we couldn't really even speak as she spoke zero English and I spoke zero Turkish, but we got along. She took care of me and I took care of her. We divorced in 2020 after 11 years of marriage and are still friends. She still loves me and hasn't moved on or dated anyone, and she didn't ask for alimony. What is going on here? This post was such a crazy ride. He marries someone after 6 months of knowing them, calling it the best decision of his life. But as soon as she learns his language enough to enable any form of communication, the marriage starts falling apart. But it's obviously the wicked Western feminists and social media's fault. She wasn't like that before. Just ask the men who didn't talk to her for a whole year after they got married. For anyone who manages to wed a foreign miss, how is the marriage going? Does she still like you in America? Does she like you for anything besides money? Let me know. I am from Australia. I married a very religious, traditional, and sheltered girl from back home. I gave her everything she wanted: the freedom to dress, go out, make friends, attend university, and work. There were never any restrictions. Oh wow, look at this. Gracious, gracious man. He didn't restrict the way she dressed or how often she could leave the house. I wonder where is he going with this. Fast forward, after having 2 kids and securing her paperwork, she divorced me. The patterns were very clear as she continued to become independent, less reliant on me, and eventually found a higher purpose, supporting her family back home. I tried to set boundaries as it was affecting us, but she forced me out. When you marry someone from another country, you can't predict how they will behave once they gain power over you. They may revert to their way of life and recreate their childhood home environment. If you intervene later, it's too late. You can't stop them from supporting their family back home. I tried to set limits, but she wouldn't accept them. This is where the mask comes off. She didn't change because she gained power over you. She changed when you lost power over her. He said it himself, she continued to become independent. They are actively seeking women from impoverished regions because they know they have leverage over them. They want the power imbalance. They can call it a traditional relationship or a natural dynamic, but the simple truth is, they want power. To use that power on a desperate woman, lure her out of her safety net, of her environment, with a promise of a better life for her and her family, just to then set boundaries on how much she can support said family, that's just pure evil. And then to act surprised when a woman doesn't want to leave her country, that's just stupid. For real, it's ridiculous. Even my well-traveled passport bro friend, who is dating a girl from Hong Kong, just assumed she would eventually move back to the US. Of course, that was a huge problem when it came up. It took months, but eventually he realized that she never planned on abandoning her family and friends and world in general. It was him who went there. She doesn't owe it to him to move here. This is 100% fact. My wife really wishes we could stay in her country, but my career won't allow it currently. She thinks she's going to get shot in the States. Ha ha! Ha ha, indeed. What a ridiculous assumption. So yeah, it seems like even those women who actually married a passport bro don't necessarily want to leave to the United States with him. How strange. It's almost like a woman with traditional values would value family and community. Conservative people also tend to be patriots. It may sound strange to an American passport bro, but people from other countries also tend to feel a strong connection to their country. So, just in case any wannabe passport bros are listening right now, I want to make an announcement representing what I believe to be a sentiment shared amongst majority of Polish women. We don't want you here. You are not going to impress us with your US passport. It's actually not that high on a world passport index. And sure, getting salary in US dollars is gonna give you more spending power here. You can get a remote job and make a pretty good living for yourself in Poland. But guess what? So do we. It's actually what I'm doing right now. So no leverage here. I'll take the Western dollars, the feminism, and social media, and you can stay where you are. Okay? Great.